Everyone, welcome to the blog today. Wow, a lot has changed since I've last been able to record one of these, and maybe I'll be able to stay on top of them now that I'm not traveling anymore. Hopefully, everybody's being safe out there, and with everything going on with the coronavirus, and those continuity plans, right? I thought I had a continuity plan for working from home, and I do, except when the kids are here. And so my children, I'm in Texas, and they close the schools for 2 additional weeks, and you can plan for the summer and you can plan for spring break, but you can't necessarily plan for 2 extra weeks, and it can be challenging. So that piece, that's just my own personal continuity issue. I've seen a lot of articles. I haven't read any one that I'm going to quote in particular. I actually want to take this in a different direction. So I've been working from home on and off for years. So I kind of sort of know best practices on what my home network should look like. And I was thinking about it, and coming up with those things that those that are not in the tech space, right? I mean, I don't think that if you're not in the tech space, you go out wondering how to build a secure network, unless you have someone in your life that actually takes that on, and is that's that person's job. But now everyone's working remote, and it becomes a what should I be doing from a technical perspective, to make sure that my information is safe, not only on my home network, but as I'm now remoting into work, my home network, period. But then, is there anything else I should know, right? And so I thought, like I said, I thought about it, and I came up with a few things that I go through with some of my home users and some of my small business users, because small businesses sometimes are smaller than the home, what you have in your home. So the one thing, so I'm just going to go 5 things random off the top of my head. Well, I wrote them down, but these are the 5 things that I came up with in regards to what you could do to add additional protections to your home network, because you are vulnerable on your home network, and attackers are now going to try to take advantage of the fact that most people are remoting in. So one, you everybody knows that whether I have AT&T, Xfinity, Zoom, whatever, your flavor of internet service provider, they come in, they give you a little box, and that's how you get to the internet. You either get through it by plugging into the box with a Cat 5, Cat 6 cable, or you get in on the internet by going through Wi-Fi. A lot of organizations, a lot of households, as well as other entities, they don't connect directly into the actual box itself. It's something that they get through Wi-Fi. Now, it just so happens that my house is wired. Everything is hardwired, in almost every room, actually. And so I'm able to get it's wired through the house. So I'm able to get a Cat 6, Cat 5 cable into the wall for most of my devices. And that makes it faster. But that we're okay, I'm getting sidetracked. That box that they come with, it comes with a display. On the back of the box is either a one dot there's an IP address. I'm not going to get too super geeky technical on you. There's an IP address on that box. Usually it tells you how to get to the configuration settings. Now, with AT&T specifically, I'm able to go and log into my account and get access to that box, and I'm able to configure that. What I mean by that configuration is change the default settings of that individual box, so I'm not an easy target. So in a lot of these devices, they put on the back the user ID and password. You don't want to use that user ID and password. You want to change that to something that's unique to your home. So you want to make sure that however you remote into that box, whether it's going to the service provider's website or actually going on your network or getting on your network and typing that particular IP address range, to get to that individual box, a configuration screen will come up and it'll say, okay, what do you want to do? Username and password. That's one of the things that you definitely want to make sure that you change. While you're at it, activate your guest network. Different username and password. I'm sorry, different SSID. So it'll say, let's say Mary Cheney family wireless, and then it'll say Mary Cheney guest network, right? And it has the ability on that box to create two types of networks. You can have your home network, and then you can have a guest network. Now, what I would say, one of my second things that I would say, activate your guest network. And why don't you just isolate your IoT devices, all of your refrigerators and Alexas and all that of the world, to your guest network, so your main network is free of those potential ways into your network. It's not a surefire way, but usually if you create a different password, and please do create a different password for your guest network, and you take those devices that aren't necessarily able to be secured because you can't get to them, or they it's hardwired in, put them on a less secure version of your network. This is a simple form of network segmentation, and you're just trying to separate what maybe your TV. Let's see, what do I have? TV, I have my kids. Okay. I have a bunch of stuff going on in my house. I have 4 different networks in my house. My guest network is usually for guests, but I do have another setup to where my children's devices on my TVs are on a different network. And as I said before, my security system is on a different network, and then my home office is on a different network. And all I'm doing right there is just doing a smoke and mirror, so to speak, and segregating them logically by username and password. Guest network has a different password than my main network. My security camera stuff, when I log into that's a different username and password. It's a different name of the network. It's a security camera, Mary Cheney security cameras or whatever, and it's a different name, which is called a SSID. It's a different name with a different password that I'm logging in. So the only things that will be on that network are my security cameras for that particular issue. And then we have our home office, Mary Cheney's home office. And those are the only devices that I use in my home office. So my home office is separated with a firewall, and we'll get there in a second. But you want to make sure you're just logically placing things in different places to where they're not interconnected. You don't want one box coming into the house and everybody gets on the same network at the same time, especially if you're working from home. You want to separate something. Number 3, firewalls. Now, you can buy a firewall, or you can buy an additional router that serves as a multifunction firewall. All a firewall does is actually takes and puts another layer of security between your home office, in this case, what I'm talking about, and the rest of the network. So for instance, I have another wireless router switch device in my office that's hardwired into my wall, and then it comes through, and then the devices that I actually have that are hardwired in, like I have a computer behind me, I have my PC behind me, I'm talking to you guys on my Mac. We don't want to talk about all the other devices. We got my phones and I have a tablet. And those are the only devices that actually will be able to connect to this network. Because what I did with that one is, in that particular device that I have, which you can buy one for $40-$50. I've only allowed those devices on this particular network. And where I did that is by MAC address. Now, this is going to geek out a little bit for you, but every device has a different social security number, for lack of a better word. Okay. It's a MAC address. It's called a MAC address. It's hardwired in, and you can go into those individual devices and say, only allow this particular MAC address on this particular network. And that's what I've done in my home network. So when you're doing work and you're working in your home office, boom, your kids' devices aren't on there because they're home. Mine are, at least. Pray for me. Your kids' devices aren't there. The TVs aren't there. The security cameras aren't there. Nothing is on there except those devices that I actually allow on my office network. Okay. And To make this a little bit simpler, and but I'm going to say this, but I already know what you're going to tell me because I've heard this before. Use your VPN. If your organization allows you or have installed a VPN technology, despite some of the recent attacks on VPN technology, use that technology. It's there for a reason. The VPN will allow you to have a secure channel between you and the internet. And now some organizations, at least enterprise organizations, you can't even get to what you need to do to work if you don't log into that VPN. I understand you don't necessarily have to log into the VPN to get done what you get done, especially if you're on Office 365 or some other cloud-based service provider, because there are times and there are complaints that the VPN will slow things down tremendously. So so people don't use those types of technologies just because it slows everything down. And I get that, but it's better safe than sorry, right? And use that VPN. Of course, I'm making the assumption this is 4.2 because the VPN was 4. So 4A is, I'm making the assumption everybody has antivirus on their desktops or on their laptops or whatever they're using to access their company systems. Even your mobile devices should have antivirus and everything on it. I'm making that assumption. I did not make that part of this conversation, but if whatever you have on your devices, I mean your laptop or your desktop, or it needs to be on that mobile device too. So if you're going through the VPN on your computer, you need to be going through the VPN on your mobile device. If you have antivirus on your computer, you should have antivirus on that mobile device. Any type of, because that's just another way into the network. And 5, lastly, update everything. So before, all your software, all your hardware, your firmware for all these devices that we've talked about, there are ways that you can check to see if there are updates available. I mean, AT&T, oh goodness gracious, I think it wasn't this Christmas, it was last Christmas. They updated the firmware and it knocked out my entire network. And no one wants to spend Christmas going through and trying to reconfigure everything because they changed the firmware update and the TVs weren't communicating right with it was a nightmare. I got it to work, I got it figured out, but it took me a while to troubleshoot the fact that it was the update that was causing all kinds of havoc on my network. Check your TVs for updates. If they're connected to the internet, see if there's any updates available for your individual TVs. All of those devices that if left unsecured, meaning not if they're not updated, are just ways that an attacker could get into your network. So I ran through those a little fast. This is the only post I'm going to have today. I'm not even going to do a random thought today. Just understand that preparing and if you're home and you're doing this stuff and you're working on your network, if your company hasn't provided you with best practices of how you should set up your home office, just take this video and if you need any help, you just give me a call. You know where I am, Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas. Guys, have a great day. Bye-bye. Would you know if you had a security breach? Would you know who to call if you had a security breach? Do you know your requirements by law to report when you have a security breach? Do you have a written incident response plan? If not, you may want to call us, the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas, where we have incident response workshops, where we walk our clients step by step through the creation of an incident response capability so you will know and you'll be able to respond. If you're interested, please go to our website and sign up for one of our sessions now. Thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog, sponsored by the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter. At Mary N. Cheney, use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.